Hi there, it's Paul from Skills TX to take you through another aspect of skill management and particularly skill-based recruitment that we feel is really important, and that is the aspect of evidence. We define ourselves as an evidence-based single source of record when it comes to skills, and we're going to focus in on that evidence. Previously, I've recorded overviews of our evidence IQ, which is an agentic AI that will analyze evidence that you've loaded into the system and compare it against the skill. I'm going to come at it from a slightly different angle here and look at this mainly from the point of it could be internal staff, but it's more likely in a recruitment scenario. So what I'm looking at here is a list of roles or jobs that we've got loaded in the system. You can see the names down here on the left hand side, and I've got one down here, business continuity senior developer, and it's set to yes as being included in the registration form, which means when somebody is registering as a user in this particular environment, that will be a role they're able to select in order to be guided through their self-assessment. So if we go in and have a look at this role really quickly, just show you how this works. And the concept is very simple, that there are certain skills that are really critical in most roles, and at the point of self-assessment, we're able to request that evidence is loaded at that point. So let me show you what that looks like. So this is basically someone in the people and culture HR team, and I'm going to click the button that says define evidence, and now it's took me into the role. I've got solid blocks indicating required and the stripes are desirable. So let's have a look down here and see if we can find a really important one. There we go, let's pick this one here. So we've got information security, pretty important skill in any role for that matter, and you can see that it's required at level 4 and level 5. I'm going to click here on the edit, and now I've got the option to say, well, if you select level 4, I'm interested in evidence if you select competency, and at level 5 I want evidence if you select proficiency or competency. So when someone's doing the self-assessment, if they click on either of those, competency at level 4, it'll do basically pose the surveys and put a pop-up for evidence to be entered. And I'll show you that in a second. And at level 5, we're only going to put a pop-up when it's proficiency or competency. But if they're selected knowledge, we wouldn't ask for it because that's a lower level and it's not something that we need to worry about. So really, really simple way of basically just highlighting where we want evidence at that initial self-assessment. So let me pause and I'll come back as a user and we'll have a look what it looks like. Okay, so I've registered as a user here. I've obviously selected a role, albeit I don't know it at this point that role required evidence. Very imaginative name, evidence test. So that's my name, and I'm going to click on start assessment. So this is the hyperlink that was generated for me. It's going to take me into my self-assessment, and as I go in, immediately I'm being advised that this particular role is going to potentially require evidence. Now, if I don't pick any of the skills that we've selected, or I select a level of capability that we're not interested in evidence against, then I won't get asked. So it's just advisory in case. So let's see if we can find a skill that's going to request evidence. Checking whether I've watched the tutorial, I'm just going to say yes. I'm going to get straight into the survey, and I'm now going to go and see if I can find a skill that's going to ask me for evidence. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm going to select that I've got performance management as a skill, and now I'm going to get into the specifics, whether I'm competent, proficient, or knowledgeable, or don't have this skill. Reading description, making a choice. I'm going to select proficiency for that one. No evidence required. It's gone on to the next skill. I'm going to skip that one. I don't have any employer experience skills. Professional development, I'm going to say yes I do. Okay, I'm into the first one here. I'm going to say that I'm competent. There we go. So it's now immediately requested that I provide some evidence, and of course I can maybe compare to my resume, or I can just type in some work experience that I've got. I can even click the record button and I can talk to the system and describe why I believe I have that skill. I've also got a hyperlink that's going to take me to guidance notes on how to present good evidence So what constitutes good, and some examples of what we're looking for. So we're providing at points of assessment where I can provide information. I'm just going to put, it's also going to check that I enter a reasonable number of characters. There we go. So it's now giving me the option to submit, so I'm just going to submit that evidence. And when I've finished going through all of this, what's basically going to happen when my profile is created, that evidence is automatically going to be linked to that skill. So you can see I'm onto the next skill here. I'm going to select knowledge, and it's not asking me for evidence. If I go back and I select proficiency, it's now asking for evidence. So you can see very, very specific, and only stopping me where it's really important that I do provide evidence. And certainly in the recruitment sense, the quality of that evidence, even if it's not the most supportive of the skill, just the fact that people have made the effort and put some good quality information in is a good indicator that people are paying attention, if nothing else. Of course, we would hope that that evidence is pretty solid, and as part of the shortlisting, or even beyond the shortlisting, that ability to check the evidence, look at the gap analysis against the role, look at the percentage match, all of that can be factored in to whether or not someone gets through to the next round. And indeed, we also measure time taken to complete these surveys. And again, that's another factor. Not a decision point in terms of a yes, no, but if people really take their time, or if people get through really quick, it might give us a point of conversation during an interview. Okay, so evidence-based, single source of truth with regard to skills, that's what we do here at Skills TX.